From Oshkosh Community Media Services, this is Oshkosh City Cable 10 and broadcast on 101.9 FM WOCT Oshkosh. Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report is your preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda and an update from your Oshkosh City Manager. Your hosts, Emily Mikowski of Oshkosh Community Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on your City Manager's Report, your source for all things local Oshkosh, current events going on, some hot topics, as well as a preview of the upcoming City Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, November 11th, 2014. I'm your host, Emily Mikowski, joined as always by your Oshkosh City Manager, Mark Roloff. Thanks for joining us, Mark.
Great to be here, Emily.
So we'll go ahead and dive into our hot topics for the first half of today's show, take a little break, and then we'll come back and go over a preview of the council meeting agenda for, again, Tuesday, November 11th. So, Mark, first off on our list here, at a little bit of an election recap. We had an election last week, or earlier this week, and really what we wanted to focus on is what a great job our poll workers and city clerk and staff did.
It's been an effort that we've wanted to get our results out quicker because we've had a reputation for being later than most of the communities. And so our city clerk, Pam Ubrig, worked with some of our folks who have been working on some quality improvement processes in various departments, and we said, well, maybe we can look at this for the election process. And there's a lot of things that have to get done with an election, but it was really more about the order in which we got things done, and we placed a higher priority on getting the results over to the county clerk's office quicker. And the result was that we were done counting all but 2 districts by before 9 o'clock. So we were able to get our reports out with 89% of our voting results in by about 9:30. So we were very pleased with that. And that was a process that everybody was going through. It was our poll workers, as you said, but also the clerk's office and other city staff. Everybody pulled together to get it done, and we're real proud of their work and happy with the results.
A huge improvement, and as always, continuous improvement is always a huge goal here at the city. And we also had great turnout for the voters as well. Maybe you can talk about that.
Well, you know, with a gubernatorial election, that's second only to presidential elections, we had over a 66% turnout, which is very good. And when you think about how quickly we got the results and when we had that high a turnout, it's even better. So we're very pleased with all the results we got, and looking forward to seeing how we fare with future elections. We're going to be getting some new election equipment next year, and so I think we'll be able to improve that process because people like to get the results early.
Oh yeah,
that's just a big thing. People want to get the results and then go to bed. So I think we're on our way to doing even better reporting in the future.
Well, it's great to hear the good news, and we're looking forward to improving even more with this new equipment at the next election. Our next item here is the Born Learning Trails. There's actually one at Rowe Park and one that just opened at Franklin Elementary. We've got some B-roll of the Franklin Elementary ribbon cutting, and this is kind of a cool project that we've got going on here in Oshkosh.
It's a little bit of combination of recreation, fun games, but also working on early literacy, getting kids interested in just reading and just any aspect of literacy. So along the trails, in addition to exercising, there's also little literacy-like games that get combined with the fun itself. So it makes learning fun. It gets kids used to it at a very early age, and we're very excited to be working with the United Way as well as our Parks Department working in Rowe Park to get these all done.
Mm-hmm. It's a really cool project, like you said, to make, they're walking down the sidewalk anyway, and to be able to read the signs and then do the fun little activities. I think they had some hopscotch and some other little shapes games and things like that. It really kind of introduces these kids to stuff that they're going to be seeing in school eventually anyway.
Exactly.
So we're really looking forward to that. Make sure you stop out at Franklin Elementary or Rowe Park and take a look at it, because it's pretty cool. And another cool project we've got going on here in Oshkosh over at the Senior Center is the Senior Connects. It's a collaboration between the Oshkosh Senior Center, the Women's Fund of the Oshkosh Area Community Foundation, and Oshkosh North Community. So a lot of different parties involved. We were able to stop out to the Senior Center last week and talk to Jane Wells of the Senior Center. And let's take a look at what she had to say about the project.
The goal is to help prevent isolation in seniors. And so by learning technology and learning how to use devices and then connecting through social media to grandchildren or family and things like that, we can see the bigger picture of the impact that the students and the seniors working together is going to have.
And so the seniors at Oshkosh North from the Communities program, they're coming out every Tuesday and Thursday, and they're sitting and making friends with the seniors while teaching them how to use these different kinds of technologies. And it's just such a cool project.
Part of it is a concept known as intergenerational connectivity, getting the young people associated with seniors not just to teach technology, but just to understand the differences as well as the similarities with the different groups. And for the Oshkosh North students, it's their opportunity to get involved in community service, understanding how that works, and understanding it can actually be a little fun because they get to show off some of their skills, and they're talking to people who are genuinely interested in learning something new. So it's a great combination, and we're really appreciative of the Women's Fund of the Oshkosh Area Community Foundation. They provided $13,000 towards this program to get all the materials,
all the devices and gadgets
and stuff. Because a lot of folks don't know, they're sort of intimidated, so they'll never buy them in the first place.
Right.
Now they say, oh, maybe this is something I would be interested in to try out, or when I see somebody using it, maybe I can use it myself, and eventually they might do it themselves.
Yeah, and it's just great. Not only is it promoting and supporting the goal of ending isolation in seniors, which often does happen, I think the students at Communities are learning just as much as the seniors are, really. Like you said, it's great for them to interact with the seniors as well as the seniors to interact with them. So
we're very happy about these types of collaborations with students, nonprofit, and anything we can do to, as you said, to reach out and address isolation issues, because we want people to stay active, and the best way to stay active is give them something to do, and this gives them one more thing that they can work on.
Yes, and this is just the beginning. Jane did say that she's got big plans coming up for this, moving even out of the Senior Center building, so make sure you stay tuned for updates on that too. Mark, recently on social media, there's been a little bit of concern, things going on here in Oshkosh with safety and crime, and you had an interesting statistic that you wanted to share with us about some of that.
Yeah, well, it's anything with crime, you want to work on prevention. That really is the first step in it.
It's huge.
And there's some crime studies that have shown that neighborhoods with a neighborhood watch type program have reduced crime as much as 90% in 1 year. And that's because the community becomes the eyes and ears of the police department. And the neighborhood watch programs have proven to be those types of vehicles to do that. And a lot of crimes have been prevented or solved in Oshkosh due to quick actions and information that's relayed to our police department by neighborhood watch groups. So a lot of people don't realize this. We actually have 102 neighborhood watch groups in the city.
And I find that crazy. You don't hear how many different neighborhood watch groups there are.
Right, and so some of them are not very active, some are very active. But if you're interested, please contact our crime prevention unit. The number over there is 236-5742. That's 236-5742. And the crime prevention unit will make sure you get connected with your neighborhood watch group. And even if it's just you saying, okay, I'm aware of it, and what things do you want me to look for?
Right.
If you see something out of place, report it. We have neighborhood police officers. They know your neighborhood. They want to get to know you. And so we'll connect you with your neighborhood police officer. And just that relationship and knowing who that person is, somebody that you can personally turn to, or certainly call the police department at any time. But it's that connection and people not taking something for granted. Our police department will come out and take a look at these issues if you bring it to our attention.
Excellent. Well, it's great to know. Again, 920-236-5742. You can also go on their Facebook page for more information on that. And Mark, it wouldn't be City Manager's Report without a GO EDC update. The Greater Oshkosh Economic Development Committee?
Corporation.
I can never remember it. The Go EDC, what's going on? We've had a little bit of a recruitment process.
Yeah, well, Go EDC consists of all the different partners who help contribute to advance economic development in our community. Institutional folks, governmental education, but also the private sector. It is a true public-private partnership. And the first step in the process is to recruit a new chief executive officer. So that goal is to have that person start on January 1. So we're going through the recruitment process. I think we've got some great people to choose from, and I think we're going to have somebody be able to announce in relatively short order. The other thing that we're working on, concurrent with our CEO recruitment, is to work on a marketing program. And the first two steps of that, with our marketing plan that we've developed, is branding and a website. We have a logo, but it was kind of done in-house by some folks, and we want to really get a brand that people can identify Oshkosh with, both internal businesses in the community, so people have a sense of community pride about Oshkosh and about Go EDC and our economic development efforts, but also externally, so people can see that. And nowadays, it's all about websites, it's all about social media, and it's getting a presence there. So Go EDC has hired the firm of Nelson Schmidt. They're a marketing firm that has offices in Milwaukee and Madison, and they have done a lot of economic development work. They've done some work for the state as well as some other entities to work on our brand and website development so that we can launch that in the very near future. Because nowadays when people start looking at economic development, one of the first things they do before they even call us, they're looking out on the web for those things.
They're Googling it, and that's a huge part of creating awareness for a brand, like you're saying.
Exactly, and it used to be that you would make a phone call and we would send a bunch of information to you, but nowadays most of the research is actually done before they even make the call or make the contact with us. So that first impression is so important, and so we want a website that will wow people, get them interested, and really distinguish ourselves with a brand. And we've got some great strategies going on in terms of focusing on aviation and information technology, which are strengths that do exist in Oshkosh. People know about aviation, but they don't realize that quietly we've got this IT cluster that's growing, as well as our traditional manufacturing. And then also some of the other sectors are dealing with second stage growth companies. Those are companies that have just emerged out of their infancy and are ready to
Just
grow,
take off.
Exactly. And the way to do it is to give them assistance about how do you get to the next level.
Right.
And it's providing that information. But it's really about reaching out to those folks. But the third thing that has to get done, it's always about money. And we're initiating a fundraising effort, and we need support from the private sector. The city and the county have committed funds for economic development. We're channeling those resources into Go EDC because we know that a group like this will be something that people will turn to for the real meat of economic development. So we're going to be knocking on doors, meeting with people, and it's going to be a combination of public and private people doing it, but we're reaching out to the private community, showing them what the public entities are bringing along, and bringing everybody together. We've got some great support from people within the business community that have taken a big leadership role. A lot of the members are on our board of directors. Matt Jamison from J Manufacturing, Tom Castle from Castle Pierce, Bill Wyman from the Waters. These are leaders. Jeremy Monette with Sonics Aviation. So you can see that there's a combination of companies that have been around for a very long time, companies that have been around for medium, and some more recent companies.
And a wide variety of companies as well.
Yeah, printing and manufacturing and aviation, a lot of great groups, plus our institutional folks, the education, Fox Valley Tech, UW Oshkosh, the county, the city, Convention and Visitors Bureau, Chamber of Commerce, all those people coming together to advance economic development for the greater good.
And now getting out there and getting the support and the fundraising efforts going on, you're obviously going to be telling people your goals and things that you're hoping to accomplish in the future. Maybe you can touch on that a little bit.
We have some very specific goals. They're pretty ambitious, but we think that you gotta stick your neck out there. Some of them are within the next 3 years, adding 1,000 jobs in the area. Retention calls, you've got to find out what's going on with our existing businesses because most of the growth comes from that. We're looking at 150 retention calls each and every year, so we touch base with the whole specter of businesses in the Oshkosh community. We're ambitious to say I want to shoot for $75 million in new investment in the community, as well as the major goal is to improve median family income so that rising tide raises all ships. And if we set these as our ambitious goals, that will rise that tide that'll benefit everybody.
Well, it's great to see how confident you are and ambitious, and we're really looking forward to this. I know every time we record an episode here, we've got some really great updates, so we're really looking forward to hearing more from you guys.
Thanks.
All right, so it's that time of the show where viewers have the chance to ask their city manager anything they want about things going on right here in Oshkosh. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the question mark for this week is. All right, Mark, so obviously we're talking a lot about the budget lately, and the question this week is how much of the GO Transit budget is made up of grant dollars? Someone is curious to know about GO Transit's budget.
Well, the short answer is not as much as it used to be. We currently are projecting for 2015 that we're going to get about 54% of our operating funds from grant dollars. That's really transportation dollars, specifically gas tax dollars from both state and federal government. And but it should be noted that several years ago, that was as high as 70%, and it's been gradually going down. So that's been troublesome. Capital investments in GO Transit and transit systems for communities our size, we've been eligible for things of up to 80%, grants of up to 80% for capital items, specifically buses. When we were going through the stimulus package back in 2010, the green buses that you see, the hybrid buses, we were getting that covered at 90%. Well, that was a stimulus program, that's gone, but the capital program is also going away quite a bit. Buses are some of the only few that you can get, but if you can't get those capital costs, then it's down to 54%, and that's much different than it was when it was 70%.
That's a really high decrease there, and so if the funding from these grants and from outside areas goes down, where's the funding going to come from? You can't just keep going without it.
It always comes from local tax dollars. Only 10% of our budget comes from fare box revenue and just riders. So the balance of that does come from local tax dollars. So that's something that we have to absorb. And with limits on property taxes and limits in other revenues that we have, it's really tough to do that.
Well, it's a hard time right now with the budget, and I know you've got a lot of jobs on your shoulders right now. So great question, very interesting stuff to know. If you'd like to send a question to Mark, simply email it to questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. So we're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll dive into the City Council meeting agenda for this Tuesday, November 11th. We'll be right back on City Manager's Report.
Stay connected with Oshkosh Community Media Services and the City of Oshkosh. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube. Sign up for e-updates. More resources, including video, at OshkoshCommunityMedia.org. Oshkosh Community Media is your media on your schedule. Connect with us today.
Want to know what's happening in local government? Stay in the know with City of Oshkosh government meetings, live on TV, City Cable 10, online at OshkoshCommunityMedia.org, and on Community Radio WOCT 101.9 FM. Miss the live coverage? No problem. Catch replays on City Cable 10. Stream online from OshkoshCommunityMedia.org or visit youtube.com/Oshkosh Community Media Services.
Welcome back to your City Manager's Report. Thanks again for joining us. I'm here with City Manager Mark Roloff, and we're about to dive into the City Council meeting agenda for November 11th, 2014. So Mark, of course, first thing we want to talk about is the 2015 city budget. We've got a public hearing at this meeting.
This is sort of the culmination of all the workshops that Council's been having. Hopefully people have been watching and paying attention or looking online at the city's budget. But this is the opportunity for the public to weigh in on all the discussions that have taken place up to this point. It's required by law, but it is truly the opportunity for the public to talk about it. Council has had 6 work sessions already, 3 prior to the release of the budget and 3 since that point. And there are some issues that should be of concern to the residents with the limits in state revenues, limits in property taxes, on some levels, as well as our increased investment in infrastructure that has resulted in borrowing. We've got some limitations of what we can do, so we default to the property tax in a large respect. And right now, the projection is a 4.5% increase. And I know that a lot of people are not necessarily pleased with that. So the council is going to need to wrestle with what can be done to get that amount down. And that's been really the topic of the budget work sessions, is what can we do to identify ways to do that. So this will be the public's chance to weigh in and either provide suggestions on how to do those reductions, or to support things that they would like to maintain, expand upon, continue. This is your shot. So I encourage people to come right at 6 o'clock for the public hearing.
Yes, and to definitely check out the multiple workshops that took place beforehand. At the end of this meeting, they are going to go into their final budget workshop, and of course they will be taking those opinions into account as well. Right.
This will be the chance for the council to just give a preliminary direction, because on the November 25th meeting is when the council has to adopt the budget. So they want to give some direction to staff after the hearing, so they've had time to reflect on it and say, okay, everything we've heard from the hearings, our budget work sessions, everything we've heard from the public. Now, staff, let's have some discussions about some preliminary directions we want to give, so we can have a menu of options available for council on November 25th, and then they'll start voting them through.
Definitely. Well, it seems like we're finally we're seeing a light at the end of the tunnel here with the budget.
It's always part of the process.
It is. And our next item here, Resolution 14-491, approve agreement with Green Lake County Hazardous Materials Response. Maybe you can explain a little bit to us what this is.
Sure. Each county has a responsibility to manage hazardous materials. And Green Lake County is fortunate enough to be close to Oshkosh, where we have an outstanding hazmat team that responds throughout the state. And the state gives counties money to run a hazmat team. They're going to use their funds to essentially contract with us for hazardous materials of a larger nature that they may need additional assistance from, and we'll get their funds for doing so that when something happens, we will respond to them and assist them in any type of hazardous material assessment or cleanup.
Excellent. So if they need help, we'll be there for them, and that's exactly what this agreement is for. Wonderful. Our next item here, approve the labor contract for the Oshkosh Professional Police Officers Association. What exactly is this going to be giving us?
This is our agreement with the police union. Police and fire still have collective bargaining rights under the law, and so this is our culmination of our negotiations. Just a brief overview. We're looking at increases of 2.5% in 2015 and 2.75% in 2016 and 17. That was the result of our negotiations. The police officers will be contributing an increased amount towards health insurance that we've negotiated out. A few other contract languages, but that's really the crux of it. We're real pleased that we were able to work that through in a fairly short order. probably the best union negotiations I've experienced in the last 25 years. So it says a lot about the management and union working together to get these things done.
It definitely does. And how often typically do we re-sign a contract like this?
We typically have these types of 3-year agreements.
Okay.
So we probably won't be talking about this until 2017 in anticipation of 2018, 19, and 20.
Great. Moving on here, we've got a couple of items relating to each other. First one is approving the intergovernment cooperation agreement with Winnebago County, Oshkosh School District, and the city for an employee health clinic. The second one is agreement with Intera Health, which is going to be running the clinic. So give us a little background on that.
We've been having discussions for, the better part of this year regarding a way to help save health costs for the 3 major public employers in this area. Oshkosh Area School District, City of Oshkosh, and Winnebago County. And we've been looking at other communities that have been doing this, and it's essentially a clinic for employees that's run by the employers. In this case, we're jointly contracting with Intera Health Incorporated, and they will run a clinic for us, and we'll be providing direct services to our employees for real basic services, nothing of an advanced nature.
The regular types of visits that you would see.
Regular checkups, maintenance types of things. And we're also going to be including prescriptions in there for basic maintenance prescriptions. So if you're not feeling well, you can go in there and low to no cost, including prescriptions. But we believe we will save 40% on prescriptions alone just by sending people through there. And we also will be using a much reduced cost for employees to go there and get quality health services. It's going to be located over on Ohio Street, right near Witzel. So it's going to be convenient to all the public employees in this area. And we're excited about the, number one, the collaboration, and number two, the savings. It will really help lower insurance costs for us as an employer. It's going to be more cost effective for the employees as well.
Really is a win-win situation in that case, isn't it?
And this is something that's being done at many different levels. A lot of employers have been doing this in the private sector for years. It's picking up a lot of interest and momentum in the public sector, and it's starting to grow, and you're going to see more of it. We're just a little on the cutting edge, and I'm really proud to be part of it.
So when are we thinking that this clinic's going to be opening out on Ohio Street?
It'll take some time, but we're anticipating it'll be around February 1st, maybe March 1st, depending on how quickly we can get the ball rolling. But the idea is to get the employees preparing to plan for how they're going to get health services in the following year. So we want to give them a little time too.
It is a little bit of a transition, so it's great to know that it's coming up here, and we're looking forward to it opening.
Absolutely.
All right, Mark, our last item here is engineering services agreement for subsurface exploration and geotechnical engineering evaluation. That is a mouthful. What exactly is that?
Well, what it is it's planning ahead. This is for our 2015 capital improvement projects. And we can get better bids if we can get a lot of the questions answered before we start bidding out. And we want to bid out earlier in the year when the contractors aren't committed yet. So the more geotechnical engineering evaluation we do, basically digging up the ground and making sure what's under there, we have a pretty good handle on, so that when we contract out, we know, and the contractors know what they're getting into.
There's no surprises.
Minimize the surprises. And so we're actually going to get work on it done now, so that we do it before the ground freezes, and then they can't do it until spring, and then it gets a little late. That's for 2015. We're actually going to take this a step past us, and we're going to, this is what's budgeted in 2015, which the council hasn't approved yet. So we're taking a little bit of our chances, but we got a pretty good idea we're going to proceed with this. For next year's budget, we're going to do the 2016 planning in 2015 so that we're even more prepared. And that's the whole idea. If you're better prepared, it's going to be less expensive for the taxpayer.
Really kind of getting your ducks in a row, you could say.
You could say that, yeah.
Great. Well, Mark, we got a lot to look forward to at the City Council meeting. Thanks, as always, for joining us today.
Glad to help.
Again, the City Council meeting is this Tuesday, November 11th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on City Cable 10 or on our website, oshkoshcommunitymedia.org. You can also listen to it live on 101.9 WOCT, which is also online, and on the TuneIn Radio app for mobile devices. Don't forget to like our Facebook and Twitter pages for all your community and government programming and updates, or you can also check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. Don't forget, if you do have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff, you can send it to ci.oshkosh.wi.us, and we'll answer your question on the next episode of CMR. So as always, thank you so much for joining us on your City Manager's Report, and we'll see you next time.